Hello, wonderful. This is Sarah, and I want to talk to you about a test that will keep you safe, make your life better, all will be well, which is the 13-year-old guru test. Okay. The 13-year-old guru test is the test I use to figure out if something is really weird or something's off. I hear stories all the time, such as someone recently who married someone who would not be Facebook friends with her. Okay. So, and these are smart women, but if any one of you and you're like, oh man, that's stupid. Okay. Well, you know, people should have picked up on Hitler. People should have picked up on Bill Cosby. You had all these presidents and everybody else going around with Epstein, who was like raping children. Like lots of people have been fooled. So as I tell you some of these stories, I don't want it to be that I'm shaming the people that this happened to, right? I want to say con artists are very smart. It's complicated. I want to keep you safe, but I want to have grace and kindness in this process because I certainly have done stupid things. I put up with stupid behavior. And now, this version of me, you would say, gosh, I can't believe she put up with that. Well, I did. I remember I was lonely going into college, and I had this guy that we dated and broken up, and he was like a musician, and he had a guitar, and he would sing songs to Jesus, and I was just like, oh, he sings songs to Jesus. We're meant to be, okay, that version of me, and he was a master manipulator, right? He ended up getting in trouble with like I think he actually got in trouble for like having some type of sexual relationship with a teenager or something. He worked at a church, and then, if I remember correctly, it was just this big fat mess. Everything in his life was a big fat mess. So we dated some in high school, some in middle school, some in high school. We kind of went back and forth with each other, and then we broke up first kind of month in college. And then I think, or maybe we broke up at that summer. Yeah, I think that was it. We broke up at the summer before college. And then I was homesick, right? And we went to the same college. I was homesick. Didn't know anybody. I was scared. So I took him back. And I had a call from someone say he kissed somebody else or something. I don't remember what it was, but I had a lot of like true data that this was not a good person for me. I had a true data that this person was a liar. I caught him in several lies. Then he plays his guitar and sings about Jesus. And, you think, oh, he's not really a liar. He sings songs about Jesus for church, right? He was a liar. So you can ask me or his ex-wife. Okay. So, liar, pants on fire. So as I say this, okay, I want to, and that was a very young mistake, though I made plenty of older mistakes too. But within this conversation, okay, so I don't want this to turn into like shaming, like I can't believe that woman's so stupid. Okay, it's not the point. Not the point. I certainly have done stupid things. I'm coming for this from a place of humility and knowledge, not a place of shaming. Okay, so stories that I've heard that I want to apply the 13-year-old guru test to. Hey, if someone introduces you to their friends and then calls you a bitch in front of their friends, do you think this is a good person to date? Let's ask a 13-year-old. Okay, the 13-year-old would say, no, that's not a good person to date. Okay, cool. Hey, 13-year-old guru, if someone wants to have sex with you but won't be Facebook friends with you because they said you were so nosy, do you think that's a red flag, 13-year-old guru? And the 13-year-old guru is going to say, yes, that is a red flag. If you are giving your body to someone and they won't be Facebook friends with you, there's a real problem there. Thanks, 13-year-old guru. Okay, 13-year-old guru. Is it weird if you are married to someone who won't be Facebook friends with you? Yes, says the 13-year-old guru. That is weird. Okay, 13-year-old guru, let's say you've been with someone for a long time and they keep promising trips to you and promise that they're going to meet you're going to meet their friends, you're going to meet this, and then they don't, date you. Or then they never follow through. They never take you on the trips. They never take you to your friends, all that kind of stuff. 13-year-old guru, do you think that's weird? Okay. And I use these examples to say, we are really overcomplicating this process. And that's why my first book, the subtitle is Clear the Confusion and Learn to Trust Yourself. That's why my second book is all about problem solving and decision making, because overthinking and scrambled thinking makes it much harder than it is. Okay. And emotions make it harder, right? It's easy to see when it's not you. It's easy to see when it's not you. I'm going to say something really just okay, just love me anyway. I'm going to say something really hard that's come up in a lot of conversations and coaching conversations recently. And let's say I'm talking to 13-year-old guru test, right? 13-year-old guru. Hey, 13-year-old guru, if a parent is athletic and their child's athletic, do you think there's any genetic connection to the parent and the child? Yes, that's a 13-year-old. Okay, what if the parent is musical and then the child is musical? Do you think there's any genetic connection between the parent and the child that made the child act similar to the parent? Yes, 13-year-old guru says, I learned in science class that genes connect people, and if if a parent is athletic or the parent has green eyes, the child's more likely to have green eyes. And if the parent's athletic, the child is more likely to be genetically athletic because they're genetically connected. Okay, so what if the kid's a jerk? Parent's a jerk, kid's a jerk. You think there's any genetic connection to that? And I know that's tricky. I know that's tricky. I know that's tricky. And I want to give you guys some peace. Right? I see people beating themselves up like, oh, you would never beat yourself up. And I told you this is going to be a tricky conversation, but you would never beat yourself up. It's like, oh my gosh, I married this guy and he was musical, and now I have this child and the child is musical. What in the world happened? How did this child end up so musical? I know their dad is musical, but how did this child end up so musical? And the same thing is happening when it's easy to see when it's musical, right? And it's trickier to see when the kid's being a jerk. And I hear people all the time, the kid's acting just like their father or mother, right? The kid's acting just like their mother. Yep, yep. They're genetically connected. That can happen. There can be a situation where people are genetically connected to each other and have similar traits. Okay. 13-year-old guru test. It will bring you peace. Sometimes we don't like the answer, right? The answer I just said was hard. I get it. It's very hard. Very hard. I'm trying to bring as much compassion to this conversation as I can, but it's grace and truth. I want to give you peace, and we cannot get peace in our lives if we just have these blinders on of like, oh, this is really confusing. We need to overthink. We need to abstract think. We need to spaghetti think. We need to figure out why. We need to this. We need that. Nope. The answer is very simple. In fact, if we go back to the 13-year-old guru, that 13-year-old guru can say, yeah, I mean, if he's not texting you back, or he's ghosting you, or he disappears for a couple days, or he's playing games with you, he's probably not a good guy. And when it's 33, 43, 53, 63, 73, I get into these conversations where they say things like, well, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why they're acting like that. I don't know why this is happening. Yeah. 13-year-old guru test. It will simplify your life, and it will simplify your life in saying, is this a situation I should stay in or a situation I should go in? Hey, I think, he's got 4 or 5 other women he's talking to. Information for you. Hey, I think this is really happening. Information for you. And if you could take that information to a 13-year-old, 13-year-olds, I've got a middle schooler, like 13-year-olds, he's actually gotten less smart since he's been in middle school. Like all this puberty stuff's happening in his brain, and sometimes he'll do the craziest things. He broke his foot, and he came out of his room. This is a kid who's like scores really high on test scores and stuff. And he comes out of his room and he's got a boot on. And I say, hey, I need you to help. I need you to unload the dishwasher. And this very smart kid comes out. And I say, what happened to your foot? And he put the boot on the wrong foot to come out and unload the dishwasher. Instead of putting it on his right foot, he got busy thinking about something else, and put the boot on his left foot to then walk out to the kitchen, and did not notice as he was walking out to the kitchen that his broken foot hurt because he was in his head, probably solving. He's really into educational reform right now. So he's probably thinking about educational reform. I've got a different middle schooler, but I'm saying he's so smart, and then he does the stupidest things, right? And we all do, and we all do, and we all do. And that's where I want to have grace to this conversation. And I want to say, hey, let's go back to that 13-year-old guru test. Let's go back to these wise middle schoolers. No one says that, right? So if a middle schooler can pick up on the fact that something's wrong or something's off, then that is trustworthy data. That is trustworthy data that the situation is not good, or it's toxic, or something else needs to be done. And I hope that helps you on your journey to being toxic person proof.